As we know, DLC 1 is the most important part of any COD's lifecycle. Treyarch did an excellent job with Season 1 Reloaded as far as zombies goes. Main changes to point out here are that there are less manglers, which thankfully I finished Nebula, so I don't have to worry about that. And overall, this makes high rounds less of a headache. They also added new stuff to the game, mainly 2 new gobblegums, one being a timeout feature and the other one being full power as a gobblegum. Of course, they also added Tesla Storm and the new light elemental ammo mod, which I actually really like. And of course, brought back an absolute classic of a perk, Vulture's Aid. These are all very good additions to Season 1 Reloaded, and as far as Season 1 itself, I've been very happy with it and very pleased with the result. As for Citadelle de Morts though, I'm very mixed on how I feel about it, as it doesn't really do anything groundbreaking or really do anything too new. The overall feel and identity of the map is very similar to Horizon Rock, and while I don't think that's a bad thing, I definitely feel like this map could have done something new and left a lot of potential on the table. But honestly, without further ado, let's talk about Season 1 Reloaded's brand new zombies map, Citadelle de Morts. Immediately when you spawn in, you start in front of a huge statue of a dude with a hammer. Behind you is blockaded with a bell tower chilling there. You're in this very open area with the statue and fountain in front of you, and you notice that the only way you can go is left and right. There is a bar in front of you that has an armory and a crafting bench, and by far, I think this is probably one of the best starting areas we've had in a very long time. Main reason I say this is because this starting area does a really good job of showing off the map without showing you everything at once. Not only that, but it's open enough to where you don't have to worry about training in here for a very long time. You can easily get past round 10, maybe even 15 once amalgams start spawning in, due to you having access to the armory. Exiting out the left side of the spawn room puts you in a countryside where there's a barn and an entrance to the castle. There's nothing too crazy to point out here other than that there are some parts for the lightning incantation and sword. Also, Deadshot is located right next to the barn, and that's pretty open enough to where you'd be able to do some solid training here. There's also a new trap introduced to this map called a Point of Power, and this trap doesn't work like normal traps. It allows you to stand on it, gives you infinite ammo, and powers up your weapon even more. Again, nothing too crazy about this area visually, only that you start walking up to the entrance of the castle and the courtyard of the castle, and that's where the sights really will start to begin. Before talking about that though, we're going to talk about the path that mirrors the farm, which is the village path. The village path has nothing, again, crazy as well. There are some parts here for the light sword and a part here for the lightning sword, but this area just kind of sets up the theme of the map as you're walking through a medieval village up to a giant castle. This is my preferred way of going into the castle when I first start off on this map, as one, I like how it looks better, and two, I usually do end up doing the light sword whenever I play this map. There's also a Point of Power here next to the well and speed cola at the top of the hill. Now both the countryside and village paths both lead into the courtyard of the castle. Now here is where I think the map makes its first real impact outside of the spawn room. Immediately when you walk into this area, the characters start talking to each other, and they tell you how you're going to have to make yourself an entrance into the castle, as the door is currently shut off by a giant wood barricade. So you do what any normal sane person does in a castle, and you shoot a cannon at it. You work your way up into the wall and you see a cannon with a lion's head on it. You turn the cannon around and boom, instantly blow up the castle door. That is probably the best part about the courtyard. Beyond that, I wouldn't say there's anything too crazy to point out here. There are new traps, being the oil traps, and they're cool and all. You just drop a lot of oil on the zombies, and you can light the oil on fire to, light them on fire and burn them. But beyond that, the oil traps are really underwhelming as they don't have like a cool effect beyond just napalm. There's also Melee Macchiato and Elemental Pop here. They're both on opposite sides of the courtyard. There is a point of power here as well. But when you walk up to the courtyard, you can instantly tell that the castle is massive. And I believe that the courtyard does a really good job of introducing the player to probably the heart and soul of Citadelle de Morts, and that being the actual castle itself. Upon entering the castle, after blowing it up with the cannon, you see your best friend Juggernog sitting there, crafting table, and 2 potential pathways. Upstairs opens up to the same way as if you would go to the right, but you get a right side and a left side. Going to the right side leads you into the sword room, and going to the left side leads you into the stamina room. I believe the sword room was originally supposed to be a throne room, as you can see a giant burned throne in the center of the room. You see 4 statues all holding swords, and in the upstairs portion you see Vulture's Aid. The roof is completely destroyed, letting in all the sunlight, and you can see that there's a lot of art on the walls representing each of the animals for the bastard sons of the owl. I really like this room. I think it's probably one of the most visually appealing rooms besides the entrance. The entrance is also covered in similar graffiti, and there's one that, honest to God, made me shit myself because I thought it was a doppelgast, but I genuinely really enjoyed the sword room because you spend a lot of time in here. The visuals are very well made to where it definitely feels like there was a modern touch to this ancient castle. Moving on to the stamina room, nothing crazy here besides some important Easter egg items, and you can tell that the Syndicate was staying at this part of the map. There's beds, tables, even a point of power here for some reason. Yeah, honestly, nothing too crazy. However, I will say something special about the stamina room is that once you activate the Pack-a-Punch, there is a room that opens up in between the stamina room and the sword room. And this is the owl's study, I presume, or one of his studies, I presume, where a bunch of books, artifacts, and what you would think would be in a study is in there. And honestly, I appreciate this room existing because it gives a way easier way to go between both the right side and the left side of the castle. Moving from the sword room down into the prison. The prison is where you meet Croft, which is one of the main characters here in Citadelle de Morts. Croft basically tells you how to get this amulet in order for the crew to find the Sentinel artifact. And beyond that, nothing crazy here, if I'm being honest. It's a very basic looking prison. You can tell it's just a medieval dungeon and they just put whoever the Syndicate grabbed in here to torture and whatnot. Quick Revive is also located in here, which is really ironic since they tortured the guy not even 10 feet away from the machine. Moving down from the stamina room into the pool room. Again, nothing crazy here beyond some Easter egg stuff that I'll talk about later. It's just an open area for someone to train in. I honestly could do without it. It's here, it's cool, I guess. There's water. And finally, both the prison and the pool lead into the Pack-a-Punch meth lab. I only say it's a meth lab because there's a lot of chemicals around here, or what I assume to be chemicals. But you know, I'd assume a Syndicate would sell meth, so why not? When you get down here, the Pack-a-Punch is locked behind a safe box from Project Janus, and you're supposed to break it open in order to be able to start Pack-a-Punching. When you break it open, however, you see that a doppelgast was waiting for you inside the box. Now, why was he in there? I don't know. This is supposed to be your formal introduction to the doppelgast, and I believe this is a excellent introduction into the doppelgast. This enemy type is a lot better than the other special zombie in this game currently, which is just the Mangler. And the reason I say that is because you don't have to punch through armor in order to start doing a lot of damage to it. It also has 2 giant heads you can shoot at for major critical damage. Once you destroy the doppelgast, it will do a little death animation and explode, and if you get hit by it, you get hit by it, but drops a crystal and you're able to activate Pack-a-Punch. Once Pack-a-Punch is active, the room opens up a fast travel area for you, which will instantly teleport you back, or not teleport you, but rather you will slide back to the spawn point of the map, making a complete loop. Personally, I think this map does not need much fast travel, and it does not have much fast travel, which is a very good thing. The main 3 points of fast travel are the courtyard and the pack-a-punch. Now from the courtyard, you're able to fast travel to the spawn point by hopping into the lion's cannon and shooting out of it and landing in the spawn point. With pack-a-punch, you're able to slide from pack-a-punch to spawn, and spawn, you're able to teleport from spawn to the entrance of the castle right next to the dragon statue. I think this makes the map flow extremely well, as if you were to add more fast travel to that, you kind of remove the point of the pathing within the castle itself and the pathing on the outside of the spawn points, being the farm and the village. I think it's a perfect amount of fast travel, and it allows you to really just kind of take in the whole map, especially since the castle is probably one of the most important points of the map. All in all, as far as map flow goes, if you're not sufficiently prepared for high rounds within the castle, it is absolute hell. The castle itself is difficult to traverse, as we are on a modern COD Zombies engine, and you will always get sideswiped walking through these hallways. However, I will say the sword wonder weapons do help out in that regard. You're able to parry with any of the swords by holding left trigger, and this allows you to just straight up block zombie attacks. So I think the map being a little tight around this area is good, because you're able to actually play around it using the swords. You also have additional things to help you with that, such as Aether Shroud and mutant injections and whatever the hell. But the fact that it's already built into the map with the swords, with the parry, makes the castle not too much of a death trap. But all in all, if I would have to say, like, as far as map layout, I think it's very well made. I don't think I have a big issue or a big glaring issue with this map and how it's laid out. As far as the gameplay of Citadelle the More goes, I believe that before I even mention anything else about this map, I would be stupid if I didn't mention the music for this map in general is absolutely amazing. The Treyarch sound team always cooks with whatever they're given, right? Even on really bad maps, they always have some really good round transition music, or just round ambience, or just straight up ambience, if I'm being honest. And I gotta say, I think this is one of Treyarch's sound team's best work. They absolutely cooked with Citadelle the More's music. Even to the Easter egg song, I'm really glad Kevin Sherwood is in full swing again with the Easter egg songs, and oh my lord, God bless. Now, as far as how this map plays, there's a new special enemy type, which I did talk about earlier, called the Doppelgast. This thing is fucking spooky, especially during high rounds. High rounds make this special zombie feel a lot more threatening than it does in the earlier rounds. It has a ranged attack, but unlike the Mangler, it doesn't interrupt your horde. So you're able to train with this thing around. However, just like all the other different type of zombies, if you leave it alone long enough, it will transform into an amalgam. Now, the cool thing about this zombie is that it sprints around like a maniac, and it does do weird movements to try to dodge your bullets. In my opinion, I believe this is a very well-designed special zombie, as one, its ranged attack isn't super overwhelming and annoying, and two, the death damage that it does to you is easily avoidable, and even if you do get hit by it, it isn't the most overwhelming thing on earth. Now, the disappointing part of this map is that we did not get a new elite zombie. The amalgam is returned, and now I feel like the value of the amalgam has been diminished a bit because of it. From what I understood, I thought that the amalgam was supposed to be a experiment that happened on Terminus Island, which is why it was on that map. However, it's on this map, and you know what? It is what it is. I'm not too upset about it, but I definitely wish we could have gone a new type of elite zombie rather than it just being the amalgam. I feel like when talking about gameplay as far as Citadelle Del More goes, there are two important things we need to talk about: the swords and the incantations. The swords themselves aren't difficult to get at all, as all you need to do is kill a Templar zombie and then follow a couple of steps in order to get the elemental version of it. I'm very glad that Treyarch is moving away from these less headache-inducing steps, as some weapons in the past were annoyingly difficult to get. Main one I can think off the top of my head being the Firebow from DE, but that's besides the point. Call it a skill issue, call it whatever you want. I'm just glad that for me getting the fun weapon on the map, I don't need to break an arm and a leg to do it. There are 4 elements to each sword, being Void, Light, Fire, and Lightning, and all of them have a special attack of some kind after charging it with zombies. The Lion Sword giving an additional effect when using your attack. Now, the big issue with the swords, in my opinion, is that they feel weak in general. For map wonder weapons, they don't feel like wonder weapons. And I believe this is more of a consequence of how melee weapons work in this game, because by the sounds of it, I don't think they'll be buffing it to where you can slash more than one zombie with one attack. Like, I feel like that was probably the most disappointing aspect of the swords, because they look awesome, they sound awesome, and their special attacks are, well, most of them are pretty fucking sick. But the fact that the main attack, the swinging of the sword, you can only kill one zombie at a time with it is kinda disappointing. Actually, not even kinda disappointing, it is disappointing. So, if anything, and I don't think they'll do this, the best change they could do is just make it to where one swing hits 3 zombies. Like something simple like that when you upgrade the sword. Because right now, they just feel like a melee weapon. And for our first ever dedicated wonder weapon that's a melee based, that's not a good feeling to have. The incantations though, I can definitely say are really fun. You can cast spells and shit in zombies now. Who would have thought? We've reached this point. Anyways, main thing with the incantations on how to acquire them is that each of them have a ritual item you have to acquire. And once you have that ritual item, you're supposed to do a lockdown of some kind with said ritual item, and once you complete that lockdown, the box that holds the incantation will be available to you. In order to open the box, you need the respective sword element and smack the ever-living shit out of it in order to unlock the incantation. Now, the beautiful thing about the incantations is that they go into your tactical slot, and they're available on all parts of the map. Each one you can grab from any random location on the map, and they always restore themselves very quickly. I actually think this is probably the best feature of the incantations, that they're readily available. Not only that, but they are actually pretty strong. The lightning one can one-shot an amalgam. Let me say that one more time. The lightning incantation can one-shot an amalgam. And the shadow incantations will completely bamf everything away from you and put it away from you. The fire incantation will burn everything in a line of sight, and the light incantation just deletes zombies and gives you health due to the light element. The incantations feel more like wonder weapons to me than the actual swords do, and I'm so okay with that because these things are fun as hell to use. Beyond that, the map flow on top of with the availability of incantations and the swords being okay, makes for a really fun experience if you're just playing the map for the map. Now, the issue with me when it comes to this map is the Easter egg. Now, the thing about this Easter egg is that it is very similar to the Risendrox Easter egg, and while I don't think that's a bad thing, it adds to my overall criticism of the map. But anyways, let me talk about this Easter egg. So the main steps for the Easter egg are, obviously, first things first, open up Pack-a-Punch, talk to Craft, get all the swords, get all the incantations, reveal the secret study. And the way you reveal the secret study is by gathering these pieces of paper, link the symbols on this wall to the symbols on these bottles in the bar, and of course charge the points of power related to the pages you picked up in the book. Once you do that, you are able to unlock the Mystic Orb, as you are going to get the code needed to do that. And the way you unlock the Mystic Orb is by going to each statue in its respective order, emoting on that bitch with the sword after casting a spell. After that, the orb will charge. Well, the orb is given to you, and then you have to charge the orb by doing elemental challenges, or more elemental lockdowns if I'm being honest. And then after that, the owl will talk to you as you have access to a study. He will tell you that you have to beat up a golem, and then after that, you fight the golem, and yeah, that's the end of the Easter egg. Now, there's no real annoying steps to this Easter egg, and honestly, when I did it for the first time, it was a lot of fun. It's not it's not crazy challenging, and I don't think that most people in the zombies community would struggle doing this. This Easter egg is too similar to Dreisendracht's, and because of that, I wasn't really surprised by anything that happened during this Easter egg. It's honestly not bad. I've done this Easter egg twice already, and the map's been out for a week. I'm mainly high round on this map, but as far as doing this Easter egg again, I'm okay. It's just Dreisendracht again. Overall, what do I think of this map? This map is proof that we've recovered completely from the weird drought of zombies content. We returned to the formula that we were all really happy with way back when, and I feel like this map just made us go completely full circle. Like, we're just back where we're supposed to be now. And because of that, overall, with the map itself, I'm happy with it, and I'm glad it's in Black Ops 6. Now, my biggest criticism of this map is that it feels like I'm playing Dreisendracht again. While that in itself is not a bad thing, I definitely feel like the map was lacking in certain aspects. And because of that, it lacks in its own identity, or at least the identity it does have is very weak. And the reason why I even comparing this map to Dreisendracht in the first place is because, one, this is Black Ops 6's first DLC map release, same as Dreisendracht was. And two and three, I guess, is that both these maps have very similar themes and very similar Easter eggs. Dreisendracht and this map are both set in a castle, but I believe each do their own looks and themes well. Though, if I am being honest, I prefer Dreisendracht. As I said in my Terminus review, maps that can tell a story are what I live for in zombies. And the issue with this map is that its story is quite literally just in your face the entire time. Just as an example, you're taking the steps of the bastard sons of the owl in the Easter egg to get the amulet. The reason you know this is because Croft and the owl tell you. Now, the main reason I think this is an issue is because the map's story is in your face the entire time. There's really nothing of great importance left to mystery, such as why are the swords here? Why is this power here? Etc., etc. Whereas in Dreisendracht, for example, the wolf bow didn't explicitly tell you the story of the king of that castle, but through the paintings and the ghost dog digging up the king's tomb and burying him in a proper place, you could figure out that, oh, this must be the old king of the castle. In this map, everything you do is explained by Croft. For example, with the dragon sword, he literally tells you that this bastard son needed to go through a trial of baptism by fire in order to unlock the elemental sword. Now, it's good that the NPCs are giving you hints in order to figure out how you do this step, but when it's that literal and it kind of defeats the purpose of the story behind the map, I don't really enjoy it as much. It's cool to hear, but you really lose that sense of discovery and trying to figure out, like, okay, why did this guy have to fucking light himself on fire and run halfway across the castle in order to light the statue on fire? Like, there's nothing you can do to figure out. You're just told. The other really weirdly minimal thing about this map, especially because it was a talking point in the last cutscene, Easter egg cutscene for Terminus, is that the Syndicate really just has a non effect on this map. Maya does have a side Easter egg where she literally domes and game ends Franco on the spot. But beyond that, the only real effect the Syndicate adds to this map is the weird labs throughout the castle and the prison with the items being scattered around. You can make the assumption that the graffiti around the map is also because of them. But again, I don't personally feel that way, just because in D Machine, there was a similar kind of art around the map to where Noct was covered in like Mr. Peak's graffiti and all this other stuff. Like, it's really strange to me that they really made it a point that the Syndicate was in this map, but almost did nothing with it as far as the overall story. The other thing I feel like this map does really weak, and again, the defining feature of this map just kind of gets watered down because of that, is the wonder weapons. And I'm going to go back to DE and say, in DE, when you would grab one of the bows, you would instantly feel so much stronger. Even with the base bow, it felt like you just got a free ray gun. Like it was busted, to be honest. But in this map, when you get a bastard sword, there's not a real sense of holy shit wonder weapon until, well, not even when you upgrade it. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that the wonder weapons aren't cool, but when we're talking about defining features of a map, especially when it comes to something as important as the wonder weapon, the swords is just very underpowered. Like, I mainly use these swords as like how someone would use like a Casimir or a monkey bomb. They just don't really do much, and they take forever to clear out hordes. The slow attack hitting only one zombie at a time, even when it's upgraded, makes this weapon feel more like an add-on than an actual wonder weapon. It's great that we finally got a dedicated melee wonder weapon, but I just feel like it's so underutilized. They could have put so much power behind these wonder weapons, and the fact that the charged attacks are the only real like wonder part of this weapon, and it takes forever to charge because of how slow you attack with them, it just really sucks. And not only that, the fire and the lightning special attacks aren't really even that good. The fire basically throws out a fire staff shot, which is really, really disappointing. And the lightning shoots out a beam of lightning for a solid 10 seconds. But then the issue becomes, oh, this thing just does no damage. The Lion and the Raven Sword, though, I believe they did those special attacks correctly. The Lion Sword, you kind of explode in a beam of light, and you have like these slices of light. I guess that's a way to put it, but slices of lights going around you, and you full heal and fully repair your armor. And the Raven Sword is literally a pocket Casimir. You just rip open a hole in space and just pocket Casimir is the best way to describe that. But yeah, I mean, the swords are just super, super underwhelming. And when it's like the main point of the map, I definitely feel like it takes a lot of the value out of this map's identity away. And not only in the swords, but the Easter egg, dude. Oh my God. Like, I know I'm going to say this again, but the Easter egg was verbatim Der Eisendrache. That Easter egg was literally getting the bows, upgrading the bows, doing a Simon Says or a puzzle of some kind. After completing that puzzle, you bring down Dempsey, and then you do the elemental lockdown challenges, or pseudo lockdown. You had to be in a spot and charge up a thing with kills, like you do on this map with the Mystic Orb. And because of that, beyond the steps of just acquiring everything, the Easter egg was so like Der Eisendrache, I literally just kept thinking to myself, oh, this is exactly like Der Eisendrache. Oh, this is just exactly like Der Eisendrache. And because of that, the Easter egg didn't really do anything to surprise me. But I will say, if you are new to zombies and you haven't played any of the old stuff, you're going to enjoy this Easter egg. Like, there's a very good foundation, and Der Eisendrache's Easter egg is not bad in the slightest. It's just that this map, I'm not even going to lie, felt like a complete copy paste of that Easter egg, barring the ways you get the weapons and the incantations and whatnot. So the foundation of this map is really good, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. And honestly, that's probably the best way I find to describe this map. It's nothing new. The good things about this map is that Treyarch has finally proved to us that we're back into like what the community likes and wants. But we did get almost a discount to Horizon Rock, a watered down version of this map almost. And to me, it is really difficult for me not to just say, oh, well, this is just a Horizon Rock reimagining almost. Or like a Horizon Rock, heavily inspired Horizon Rock map. Or, oh, this is like Horizon Rock while playing this map. And that only makes me think like, man, where could have this map gone if they changed it up a bit? But again, the thing is that I don't think that in itself is a bad thing. Is that, for example, if you base this map off of Horizon Rock, right? The main way they could have made this map significantly better was making the Easter egg different. I'm not even going to lie. I think the main reason why I'm so bothered by it is because the Easter egg is just that similar. And because of that, like the identity of the map just gets a lot weaker. It feels lacking because of it. And the thing is that's not to say that Treyarch hasn't done this before. They have based off Easter eggs off of Horizon Drugs before. The Big N, the one that everyone agrees on is a pretty good map, is Ancient Evil. Ancient Evil follows a similar Easter egg structure to Horizon Rock, and it definitely feels like that map has its own identity. Due to the challenges and the lockdowns and all that being different from Horizon Rock, rather than being almost a carbon copy of the same step. But honestly, at the end of the day, when it comes to Citadelle Del More, I'm definitely not upset at all with how this map came out. I'm really happy with the result, and I've been having a lot of fun playing it. And if I were to rate the 3 Black Ops 6 maps that are out right now, I would definitely put Citadelle at number 1 and then Terminus very close behind it. And then, Liberty Falls after. Yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. You guys should totally go watch my other reviews on Liberty Falls and Terminus. And yeah, thanks for watching.